Let's talk a little bit about the format and scoring of the GRE. The most important thing that you need to know about this test is that it is delivered on a computer. And that matters because as a computerized test, the GRE can adjust based on how you're doing. For instance, if you're doing very, very well on one of the quantitative sections, the next quantitative section is going to be very, very difficult. So difficult, in fact, that you might start to wonder if you're failing the test. Don't let it get in your head. Your only job on this test is to do your best on every question. That's it. Don't let how you think you're doing on the test influence how you take the test. Okay, so let's talk through what test day is actually going to look like. The very first thing that you're going to do when you walk in the room is sit down and write essays for 1 hour. Now, maybe you love writing essays. Maybe you don't. I would put myself in the latter column. But however you feel about it, the bottom line is that the analytical writing score is generally not seen as very important in the admissions process. Now, this might vary from program to program, and I certainly don't want to say this is true for every program. So do your own research about the programs that you're applying to, but generally, analytical writing, not as important as the other scores. So let's talk about those. These are the meat and potatoes of the test, the verbal and quantitative reasoning sections. You're going to have 2 verbal and 2 quantitative reasoning sections. And usually, almost always, they alternate. So what you're looking at then is something like this: verbal, quant, verbal, quant, verbal, or quant, verbal, quant, verbal, quant. Now, you might look at that and say, wait a minute, I thought you said 2 of each. And I did. But the GRE likes to throw in this little wild card, and that's the experimental section. What is it? It's an extra section of questions that counts for absolutely nothing. It will not affect your score. And so you might say, well, great, I'll skip it. Not so fast. You will not be able to tell which section is experimental. So in this particular scenario, for instance, we had 3 quant sections. One of them is going to be experimental. It might have been the first one, might have been the second one, might have been the third one. You don't know. So as I said before, you just need to do your best on every question and not try to predict which one is experimental. After you're done taking the test, you're going to get 2 scores, each out of 170, a verbal score and a quant score. To be clear, the analytical writing assessment is a completely different score that does not go into your verbal score.